Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Summit 2 by G2A.com. We've got China playoffs action today. 2 best of 3s coming your way. First up, LGD Gaming taking on Vici Gaming in the winner bracket final. Then we head on over to the lower bracket where Newbie will be taking on CDEC in the best of 3 to fight for their survival in the Summit 2 China. I won't be alone for this first BO3. I'll be joined by my good friend, Pazuki expert, Blitz Dota. How are you doing, man?
What's up? What's up? I'm pretty good. How are you, Guts?
I'm good. I heard you had a good nap. That's where I'm headed after these BO3s, but for now?
Yeah, I noticed we always have like the same sleep schedule. Erratic.
Yeah. Despite being on like different sides of the Earth right now.
Much.
But
we're synced up.
I've been on that like Asian casting schedule since getting back for whatever reason. I guess I was kind of on it when I was in Australia, so everyone else is like, yeah, we'll cast Europe and America, which is at normal times. And I'm like, okay, great. I'll be up from 2 in the morning till 8 in the morning.
It works out perfectly for you.
Right. We can play Dota sometime. We're pretty much perfectly synced.
Really are.
Well, how's it been going? How are you doing?
I've been good. I'm a little sick, but other than that, I'm okay. I got McDonald's this morning. Took a bus to get there. It's the only person there. Is
this like McDonald's breakfast?
Yeah.
Okay.
I asked the guy, I was like, why is there no one here? He's like, you're like the first person I've ever seen get breakfast at Korea McDonald's. I was like, oh.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if I should be embarrassed.
Is Korea like other Asian countries where people for breakfast like eat like spicy food and stuff and then just like...
I don't know. They just make their own foods.
Man, what a crazy concept. What?
Yeah, I know.
What is this?
It doesn't make sense to me.
Who does that? I had pancakes for breakfast, for dinner, which was like 3 hours ago. So Brian was cooking us all pancakes and bacon and eggs, so nothing like some good old Brenner.
Not having to cook.
But we've got LGD versus Vici Gaming, and let's talk some Dota, I guess, since we've caught up now. But Vici Gaming, they got a default win against Newbie, so they didn't actually play their first match. LGD crushed CDEC yesterday. They picked Lycan in 2 of their games, and Lycan gets banned out here by Vici Gaming, largely as a result of that. Those matches, I imagine.
I remember I casted a game during TI4 where DK played against LGD, and they were behind like the majority of the game, and then they Lycaned their way to victory at the last second. So, yeah. Not a fun hero to play against in general. That's the problem with Lycan right now, is that no matter how much you kill him or stop his team, if you give him just that little bit of space, your base is gone.
No, it's painful stuff. I'm going to remind you, because I didn't do it myself, but make sure you have your open mic on.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, I don't, so.
I'm a better caster than you, Guts.
Yeah, you are. I haven't got any of my settings fixed properly. There we go. I just put up all my settings and fixed it all right. So there we go. I'm back. You're a much better caster than me. But Sylar, I think, is like one of the scariest Lycans out there. I mean, obviously that's probably partly the reason why with LGD. But their games yesterday against CDEC, they won both of them in like 25 minutes, just like crushed. Like one game was Lycan with Visage Familiars with the Howl damage. The second one was just like a Radiant side Lycan, and they didn't really care. They were just like perfectly happy to run it with any heroes that they could get. So I don't know.
Yeah, no Lycan this game though, but 3 of like the most broken heroes right now. I think I read like Puppy's AMA, and he said like the 3 best heroes are Skywrath, Ogre, and Jakiro, or something of that sort.
Okay.
And I think right now there aren't a lot of support heroes that you put a premium on, but Skywrath, Ogre, and Jakiro. I mean, Jakiro's really versatile because you can put him in the off lane as well, but he's a really good support as well, just because of the liquid fire. Like,
yep.
That skill's amazing. It doesn't proc magic stick charges. Like nothing stops it. It makes your towers not even hit. Like it's just an all-around great hero. And Ogre Magi is fantastic at zoning with Ignite. And the best part about him is he scales into the late game, unlike most supports, because Bloodlust will always be useful, and if you get an Aghanims, you can pretty much one-shot any hero in the game.
Yep. Well, whoa, Invoker! I've not seen this guy in ages. Where's he been?
Yeah, it's difficult to lane him.
Yeah.
Because he kind of gets... mid right now is like a farm trading war, and he can't really stop anybody from farming, and he doesn't create space around the map.
Yeah. Do you think it's going to be a safe lane invoker then, more likely because of that, or?
I don't know. I know the Chinese team still like running it mid a lot. It's
Yeah.
not the worst thing ever, like, but it's not really that frequent in the West anymore.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see what the plan's going to be as we get further into this draft. And like you said, Jakiro pretty flexible, can go into the off lane if Vici Gaming want to do that. Both these Vici Gaming supports are very, very tanky, and LGD have picked up an early Ember Spirit pick, which is not something we normally see picked up in the first two, so that's a bit unusual, I'd say.
Yeah, I guess it kind of keeps their draft relatively open, and they don't want to reveal their offlaner just yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially when you don't know if the Jakiro is going to be part of the support duo or not, or if he's going to be a part of the offlane or not. And Alchemist picked up too. LGD's draft is really unusual, just off the last two picks.
Yeah. This is not Hero's way of seeing well, we see Ember Spirit quite a bit, but not normally
Yeah.
this highly prioritized. And because it's LGD, I would say it's going to be a support Alchemist. The one team like to run the mid Alchemist is actually the Vici Gaming, who have Super, who plays a really good mid Alchemist. But I'd be surprised if LGD run this as a core Alchemist. Maybe they do some kind of I don't know, offlane dual lane with it, but probably more likely just a support. Do you think?
Yeah, it's really possible, especially with Skywrath. Like, the roaming potential is endless. What makes Alchemist's stun so hard to land is that you don't have any sort of setup, slow, or stun, but Concussive Shot, it launches from such a far distance. Like, the range on it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like 1600, so Alchemist can almost always get the stun off.
All right, well, we'll see Vici Gaming go into the Elder Titan pick, likely to be Ice Ice Ice's hero for the offlane. Does mean we won't get the Ice 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 Invoker, but Black especially plays a pretty good Exort Invoker, and even Super plays the Quaz Wex every now and then. As far as Quaz Wex versus Exort Invoker, do you feel like we're going to see more of the Quaz Wex lately? Because Exort Invoker seems to be like a thing of the past almost.
Quaswex is great because you can do the Ghost Walk and get an Orchid, and you can do damage that way, but I think Exort is a little bit more reliable with Sunstrikes. Like, you can actually create space around the map, and you scale into damage a little bit better. But Quaswex is a little bit better if you don't want to straight up initiate and run in.
Yeah.
And you want to just kind of kite around and stop pushes from coming in. If they end up doing that, then maybe Black gets a super late game hero.
Yeah, I mean, his anti-mage's still in the pool if you want to get really greedy, but I mean, even stuff like we've seen Medusa pop up here and there, so possibilities are endless. But LGD have picked up a Darkseer, and there was a couple Darkseer picks yesterday in China. I was casting with FRL, and he thought this hero is not exactly one of the stronger offlaners left, like picking it over like Tide, Centaur. Like, what do you feel LGD are kind of, like, why do you go Darkseer over these other offlaners?
I mean, if you pick the Elder Titan, you know that he's going to be the offlane, and so you know that the Ogre and the Jakiro are going to be your supports, and those are the most annoying heroes in the entire world to lane against.
Yeah.
Like, if you picked a Centaur or a Tide or something, you couldn't even go down there. You'd pretty much just have to stack Ancients or go jungle. I guess what they want with the Darkseer is just a little bit more team fight and somebody that can more easily jungle. Although I guess Tide does it pretty well too. And I mean, they could have used the Centaur, but going Centaur against this lineup seems a little bit risky.
It looks like we found Black's hero. It's going to be a last pick Slack, which Black's been playing quite a lot of. Definitely not the hard carry that they maybe could have fit into their lineup, but a much more mid-game centric hero. But at the same time, does scale pretty well the later this game goes, and also pretty good at killing a Darkseer. You can't surge out of that pounce. So Darkseer, as you said, may just have to fall back to the jungle very early on against this strong support duo.
Yeah. The more I play Slark, and the more I see it played lately, it seems unstoppable.
Yeah.
Like, there's very few supports that can do anything about it, especially Skywrath. Like, if Black elects to go a Blink Dagger or a BKB at any point, that Skywrath and that Alchemist are pretty much going to be useless this entire game.
The burst damage when you have that like level 10 with max Dark Pact and Pounce is just ridiculous. Like, you get your Blink Dagger treads around the same time, and you just solo kill any support you find. So, yeah, it's pretty rough as far as LGD Gaming is concerned. I mean, one of the things you can do is try have heroes like with AoE nukes or stuns that do go through the Shadow Dance, like Jakiro Ice Path, but right now LGD have none of that, really. So this is not going to be a fun game for dealing with a Slark, it feels like.
Yeah, I actually really like the Elder Titan pickup by Vici Gaming. Like, Skywrath is already the least tanky support in the game. Ember Spirit has also got no armor and not a lot of base HP. And when you have the natural order against both of those heroes, they just melt, especially with the Slark.
Oh, an interest. LGD's draft just like they're just
Man.
going against what any other team does. They say, look, we're going to do what LGD does, and we'll pick these heroes apparently because they've got a Lifestealer to go with the Darkseer, Alchemist, Ember Spirit. Like these 4 picks are just not really all that common right now.
Yeah, this looks like the metagame 9 months ago. But every single
Yeah.
game I cast LGD, they always pick a really old school lineup.
No. Yeah, they still stick to the Lycan, which worked for them great yesterday. So we'll see if this kind of draft works out for them. I feel Vici Gaming have definitely got the more kind of 6.82 draft, especially with the Ogre Jakiro, of course. But even Elder Titan is seeing more play. The Slark, as you said, looking unstoppable a lot of the time. And this is just a very annoying draft for LGD to deal with if they don't get off to a good start.
They definitely have to, especially with Black's Slark in the game. Like, if you look at LGD's lineup, there's very little that is going to be able to deal with that. Because Dark Pact is really great at getting rid of the silence if you see the Skywrath coming in.
Yeah.
And there's really nothing else on LGD that'll hit him AoE. Like, supports that are pretty good against him are like Sand King, because no matter what, if you just stun an Epi in an area, you'll follow the Black Cloud around, but
Yeah.
with supports like Skywrath, you're not going to be able to do that.
We'll introduce our 2 teams here. It is going to be game 1 of a best of 3 between Vici Gaming and LGD. We've got FY on the Radiant side for Vici Gaming playing the support Ogre. Ice is going to be on the Elder Titan. Mid lane will be Super playing the Invoker. No signs just yet whether he's going Quaswex or Exort. We'll see Fenrir on the support Jakira bottom, and he's going to be supporting Black on the Slark. Over on the Dire side, it will be LGD. MMY on the support Skywrath. We've got Injuly on the Darkseer. Mid lane will be Yao playing the Ember Spirit, and top lane Syla on the Net Lifestealer with Faith on the Alchemist. So, do you think teams are going to be looking for more standard trial lanes, or do they run some sort of dual lane setup here? Like, what do you feel like we're in for?
I think you'll see a relatively standard. I actually think both supports are going to roam like crazy. Now that I'm looking at it, I mean, the Ogre getting boots is pretty typical, but if you have an Ogre in the game, you want to try to get aggressive on the map as much as you possibly can. And a support duo like Alchemist and Skywrath, especially if it's just an Elder Titan, Lifestealer can handle that by himself, no problem. So I think they're just going to look to roam non-stop.
Yeah. FY even gets given the bounty ring. It's like, Black was there for it, but he's like, nope, you take it, you get your fast level 2 to get Fire Blast and Ignite. So, just a small little interesting thing to note, that you get supports getting early XP or even just getting last hits on kills does help them out quite a lot.
Yeah, but the problem with going the boots first is they don't have a sentry. And so if you notice right here, actually MMY with boots immediately just ran down and placed both wards there.
Yep.
And so they're not going to be able to pull. And that means that the lane will eventually push up and the Darkseer should get something out of it. So when that happens, you're just going to see at least one of the supports just start running around.
Yeah, well, mid lane not going to be fun for the Invoker of Super. We will see MMY was spamming out his nuke thinking he could pick up the regen room, which does get denied as Ice takes it. So, nice little bit of play there, but Super, well, he's already taken quite a bit of harass here in this mid lane.
Yeah, but MMY has to go back. It's not going to be a traditional dual lane. If he had more clarities, he might have been able to.
Yeah.
But once you run out of clarities, especially in the mid lane against an Invoker, you're not going to be able to do much.
He was banking on that regen. Like, he knew there was a regen top and he could just, like, throw nukes and be like, oh, easy, regen. And Ice, full HP, full mana, just walks through and says, okay, I'll take this. So,
What a guy.
that's pretty cruel.
Yeah. Because of that dual lane, though, he's going to get a little bit out of this. And Vici weren't actually able to block the pullout, so their support should get a little bit more. Whereas FY and Fenrir, they pretty much just have to devote themselves to stopping the Darkseer.
Yeah, we may see like FY roam while Jakiro zones out the Darkseer, but this is a Darkseer. This is not an easy hero to just zone out with just one support.
Yeah, especially since he has that ward, if you notice. Like, it's going to be difficult for them to gank because I don't think they have a smoke. And they definitely aren't. They still haven't purchased sentries or anything yet, so it's not like they can go around the map yet.
Yeah, they've got the money for sentries, but it looks like they're not too intent on doing any dewarding just yet. They're going to try and camp out the 2-minute rune. Ice at top, FY at bottom on the Ogre, and we'll see exactly how that thing's pan out there. Neither hero can really make too much with these runes. Maybe Ogre, if he picks up something like a Haste or an Invis, could go mid. Super actually getting very low. I'm going to turn things around. Throws a cold snap, but he's got an entire creep wave on him and can't really make much more of that. So Ice 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 with a DD rune, thought he could maybe swing in, but Super's just too low on HP.
Yeah. I mean, he might as well try with the DD rune. It's not like he's going to use it for top.
Yeah.
So he's like, well...
Okay. So, when do you think we see like the first like big movement from a team? Like the supports are kind of trying to poke around, but not really looking like they're going for any big smoke ganks yet. Do you feel like they're just going to keep playing this kind of slow-paced early game?
I actually think right now it favors LGD just because they can get the stack and pull off.
Yeah.
And so their supports aren't so limited. Like right now, LGD, they can choose to either gank or just keep stacking and pulling and getting free levels like this. And even Faith, you can see over here, I think he's just going to pull out this lane. And he has Acid Spray, so you can farm that out as well. And their supports are just getting more out of this. Whereas FY, you know, he's just hit level 2 at bottom. The Jakiro's not really getting too much, and the Darkseer's finally picking up levels. Whereas Ice 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 3 minutes in is still level 1.
No, I think you're right. And for LGD, they also know when the supports go missing at least a lot better because they know they cannot pull. Well, until now, they could not use this pull camp. So Darkseer, if he doesn't see them in lane, he knows they're off roaming somewhere else because they can't use that pull. So LGD so far have had a slightly better start. It is still just 3.5 minutes in though. So.
And it's impossible for FY to gank mid, because he has 2 levels of Flame Guard on the Ember Spirit, and you're not going to be able to burst that down enough. Like, he should almost always be able to get away.
He's actually gone
through he's got
Searing
1 level,
Chains.
sorry.
Yeah, he's gone for a slightly different build here. He's going to go in on Super, and with the 3 points in Searing Chains, Super gets very low. Yao almost catches him by surprise there, I think, with the 3 points in Searing Chains, because that's a lot of damage coming out in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, I misspoke. My bad, dude.
That's
Don't hate
cool.
me.
Don't worry, man. I had Yao clicked and I was ready to...
I even had him click too. That was the weird thing.
I saw him. I'm like 2-on-1. I'm like, wait. I had to actually check what the first skill was because I don't know what order skills go in because I know skills by their their legacy hotkey.
Yeah, me too.
So I don't know what his first skill is. For all I know, his first skill could have been Flame Guard.
Yeah, I guess since it's a Quaswex Invoker, like he's almost always going to be able to get rid of the Flame Guard. Oh, and mid.
We may see our first kill of the game here. Yao has, well, the 1 point of Flame Guard, which will quickly get rid of. Searing Chain's still available. He's going to use a Sleight of Fist, Tornado, and First Blood. Vici Gaming. Did they smoke for that one, did you see? Or was that just a walk towards mid lane?
No, I don't think they smoked to it, because they still have 2 smokes in their base, and they have 1 on the Ogre. I mean, that was only possible because In July had to go away from the lane at bottom, and he went all the way back just to get absolutely nothing, just heal up a little bit. But... since he wasn't there to contest the lane at all, he wasn't quite sure where the supports were, so they were able to get that rotation on a mid. And Ice 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 is finally getting something as well too at top.
It was at the exact time like the pull camp also respawned, so for all LGD knew, maybe they were using that pull camp finally with it unblocked. But not the case. A small victory for Vici Gaming still. Like, First Blood is nice, does help Super out quite a bit in this mid lane, and he's going to most likely be going for that fast Orchid build that Quaswex Invokers like, so we'll kind of accelerate his farm at least to some extent.
Yeah, and Yao's actually still farming pretty well though. Like there was that one time where he could have pressured and killed, and Ember Spirit doesn't really need too much farm. You just, in the early game, you just need levels, and you can rely on the strength of your abilities to carry you in.
Yeah.
So it's okay that he died here. I mean, it's not ideal, but
it's
still
not going to just like throw away their early game and be like, okay, now we're playing from behind. It feels like LGD, they've still got decent levels on their supports. They've got the stacks going on in the jungle as well. Faith is actually farming some stacks here. He's already level 4.5. This is a really decently farmed Alchemist right now.
Yeah, he's been stacking these 2 camps and just farming it with Acid Spray this entire time because he knows that the Skywrath alone is able to zone out the Elder Titan. Like that's the one problem with Elder Titan. You can't really pressure supports. I mean, I guess you can throw Astral Spirit on them, but you want to usually use it to farm. It
still feels like one of the heroes you mentioned that was good against Slag, a hero like Sand King, would maybe be more suited to this jungle play we're seeing from the Alchemist. Like, picking the Alchemist over a Sand King is an odd choice.
That's kind of what I was wondering too, because if you're just going to stack and pull farm, you might as well get a hero that can do a little bit more. Like, the Sand King can get like a 10-minute Blink Dagger off and just pressure the rest of the map around. But because it's an Alch, I mean, they must have a game plan if they're going to pick it third especially.
Yeah. I mean, it does help a bit more like for an early Roshan or something, which a lot of the Chinese teams in general like play around Roshan, especially when they're on the dire side a bit more, but it's not really a game breaker necessarily.
But who will tank for them, gods?
Yeah. FY gonna mess up this stack here in the jungle.
Yeah, he saw the illusion. That was the weird part. Like,
I think he thought, I mean, the illusion was on hold position, but I don't know. Well, he tried his hardest.
he's like, well, I'm not doing anything else. Might as well go for this. Going mid.
Yep, Yao gonna go in. Actually dodges Tornado. Really nice there. Super gets silenced up. The burst damage should be enough. Super's low. One or two more right clicks and Alchemist gets the kill. Yao needs now an escape plan. 4 Magic Stick charges. Gonna pop him. And there's a Fire Remnant. Gets, well, not over the top of the cliff.
Oh my god! And he pads the round. That was the worst part.
Mistakes were made.
Oh, he ran through the river. Like, even still. Oh, man.
I don't even think he needed to Fire Remnant there. He could have just kept running.
I mean, Ice was coming from the top. Like, he had to get out of there, but still, like...
He could have just Searing Chains, Ice, and kept running, maybe. Like, instead of using the Fire Remnant. I don't know.
Clearly, there were a lot of decisions that could have been made, and that was the ineffective one, but... It's okay. Like, they got the Invoker, and he really needed that to happen.
Nah, that's...
And he got the XP for it, which is the important part.
But
at the same time...
It feels like a pretty even trade.
Yeah, it's okay. Although, finally, Ice gets something. Like, who's there for the kill? He's finally hit level 4.
Well, at the moment, both carries just free farming away. Slack and Lifestealer both went from Midas first build, and...
Oh, bottom!
Oh, that's an Invoker rotation, so the fact that they don't kill a Darkseer with their 2 main farmers right now is pretty damn good for this Darkseer.
Yeah, that was really optimistic by Super. Like, he landed the combo, but In July still had enough mana to just surge away.
I mean, normally you look for, like, the Tornado after the Surge, because you can get rid of the Surge.
I guess he thought he could have burned all the mana, like, all at once.
Well, unfortunate. Back to the jungle farming we go if you're LGD, and, well, they're stacking more Faith is level 5.5. Like, these Dire supports are doing pretty well right now. I guess the Radiant support's not far, but, well, Ogre's level 4. Jakira's actually level 6.
I know!
What?
Because he's been a part of a bunch of kills, and he's been the beneficiary of just being able to sit in the lane and soak XP. But you would figure at this point, LGD supports would be much higher level, just because they've been able to stack, and they've been able to actually stack and pull, and only the Skywrath has had to rotate to sit in the lane.
Not the case right now. We'll have support sounds once again sitting behind Yao in this mid lane on the Ember Spirit. Not an easy gank for Vici Gaming by any means when he's got the Fire Remnants out. So Yao's doing just fine, and well, we'll have to wait and see when the carries get on board, because you've got to imagine Sylar at some point is going to be thinking they can TP to a lane, infest into someone like the Ember Spirit or a Darkseer who can surge in and just try and look to get involved in the action. He has got a TP scroll to counter gank, but both him and Black both kind of just happy to sit in their lanes, at least for now. And the movement going to come, I imagine, fairly soon from the 2 carries.
Yeah, especially with if you have a Slark in the game, you want to get as active as possible, as early as possible. Yeah. And he's got the Midas as well, so he's just going to get ridiculously leveled. Like you said, the level 10 Slark DPS with max Pounce, max Dark Pack. But actually, Black's build, he actually opted to go Dark Pack next first.
Yeah, I think I've seen him do this before in the past. He's one of the few players who does it. It's a bit more cost-effective for them, like the mana versus damage for farming, I guess.
It's good for Darkseer as well, because if Darkseer pushes up the lane using the Ion Shell, then you can just push it back to the middle by Dark Pacting.
Sylar at top scares Ice into faking a TP, and they're actually going to go for a kill here. Yao's invised up, or no longer invised up. It was a smoke, I believe, as Ice. He's already cancelled his TP and will get caught by Searing Chains. Multiple TPs coming into play here. One of them is the Slark, so we'll see Slark now get involved for the first time here. Sylar going to rage TP out of this one, and Yao gets the Fire Remnant away. If LGD can get out without losing him, this will be huge. Slark actually cancelled his TP. FY is still chasing, but not going to get any counter kills here at the top lane.
They went so far deep into that. Like, Ice dug himself like a little tree hole, and they were still able to all get out with their lives. So that was a pretty fantastic trade. Like, Ice has been completely gimped. I guess he has his quote-unquote core items. He's got Tranquil Soul Ring, so he can just spam out the Astral Spirit. And Elder Titan, like, I think Ice, the last time I played it, he just got a Midas. And the reason for that is you don't really need farm on this hero, you just need levels. What are you going to get with an Elder Titan that's going to game change anything? It's just your natural order and your Astral Spirit that really make the difference in fights.
The Midas Dagon build that we see every now and then, but bottom lane T1 tower goes down, Slark picks it up, and this is more or less his Blink Dagger if he wants to buy it, once he uses this Midas, which is once again back online, so... Could look to see Black get very involved across the map, and that's kind of what he needed when he tried to TP in that top tier 1 tower. If he has a Blink Dagger there, he can chase and find the kills. Injuly now put out. It's going to be an EMP, and Injuly will get annihilated there. Just trying to farm up some neutrals. Also, it's a two-man roam into the enemy jungle, and Super gets his first earn charges, which is always pretty nice, because that's an extra 150 damage nuke when you go for a kill.
Yeah, and that was a good rotation. I hate when teams don't punish that. Like, somebody's just jungling very obviously. Like, Injuly wasn't anywhere on the lanes. Like, where else is he going to be as a Darkseer? He can't Ancient, so... And they finally are able to punish him here, but it looks like LGD are going to rotate to try to defend this tower. And that's kind of the weakness of Vici's lineup. If they don't have the Jakiro there, it's kind of difficult for them to push out towers. And right now the Jakiro, I mean, he's not going to walk forward in Liquid Fire with 5 heroes there.
No. Well, he's got a big stack going on here. I want to see who this is for. Slark could easily farm it, but Slark's got all the farm he needs, so this may just be for either the Elder Titan or the Invoker. Even the Jakiro himself, get a fast Yule Scepter with this big stack, and yeah, he's going to Macro Fire. Fenrir Jakiro going to find himself a lot of money from this.
Yeah, they're devoting heroes to bottom, but they don't really know what they're doing. They're like, well, can we kill Black? It's a Slark. Can we actually do this if we have everybody here?
Doesn't I mean, LGD just starting to look a bit lost almost in some locations at least.
Yeah, I still don't really understand this Alchemist pick. It's not like he really roamed around the map, and it's not like he's got a ton of farm from stacking and pulling and farming those either. I mean, he left a lot of the stacks to Injuly to catch up.
Yeah.
But it hasn't even benefited him that much.
He's just been a kind of, yeah, as we said, a bit of an inferior version of a Sand King. Like the one kill he helped out on mid lane, Sand King could have done just as well. And Sand King have a blink by now, could be doing a lot more in a team fight. I mean, just in so many different ways, but...
I guess Al can transition better into the carry.
Yeah, that's true.
Get like treads and like 2 items. You can do the damage and right click people.
Sylar at top, I think he's just finished off his armlet. Yeah, armlet will be flying out for him, so his damage output will increase pretty drastically off of this one.
Yeah, he's been pretty unpressured this entire game. Nobody's been in his lane, so... But Black does finally get his Blink Dagger now. That was the item choice that he's going to pick up. So he can pretty much get active on the map. LGD, it's kind of weird for them right now, because if they dive in, there's great counter initiation by Vici Gaming. Like, as long as the Jakiro... Like, look how far back Fenrir sits in fights. Like, he just waits to get the Ice Path off. Yep. So if you can't burst down anybody, then Super has a lot of AoE to come down as well. Like, it's difficult to fight into them, especially because LGD don't have the best initiation.
Yeah. Well, this is a very different style of game from some of the recent matches I've seen where these teams have played online matches that maybe didn't matter as much. But winner bracket finals here, they're playing very passively, and I guess with good reason when there's a lot at stake, as we'll see a smoke gang towards the top lane. LGD trying to sandwich this top tier 1 tower. Lifestealer will look to just deal the damage on the tower, while the rest of the heroes will look to backstab any heroes who may come to defend it. Sylar just going to get a free tower off this one. They're going to then look to go in. Ice. He's got backup here. He's just got an EMP coming into play here. Yao going to lose all his mana for this multicast as well. They kill off Super to start things off. The Invoker's dead. They ignore Ice. Probably a good decision. Black's TP'd in with a Shadow Dance, but there's a wall on top of him, and as a result, he's forced to back off. Ice still in the tree. He's just going to look to TP out. But there's nothing really to cancel it off in the side. Nice Ice Path, Micropire coming in as Fenrir will delay some of the aggression coming out of LGD, but FY still going to go down 2-0 trade on a tier 1 tower. LGD will be thrilled for about that exchange.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I thought Black was going to make all the difference in the fight there, but after he used his Dark Pact and he went in, the Darkseer dropped his wall and he had Ion Shell up on Lifesteal. You're like, nope, I can't do this.
Yeah. There was enough damage through the Shadow Dance. Like even with Black going into that invis form, like he got brought down to half HP and then quickly realized like he couldn't sustain himself.
Yeah, they were really relying on him too to win that fight for them, because they knew that they actually baited Ice up there. Like, they just sat behind. They knew the wraparound was coming. I mean, if you're going to take a tier 1 tower like that as a solo Lifestealer, you should be prepared for everybody, but LGD's fight is just a little bit stronger here.
They also made a really good decision to ignore Ice and go for the Invoker. Even though Invoker got the MP off, they still a lot of damage to him. Super goes in mid, but just kind of poking around. I don't think he was really expecting a kill on Yao there. Maybe just trying to force out some spell usage.
Yeah, and Faith actually did a lot of work in that fight. Like, he popped his ultimate and just ran at people and they couldn't kill him. Like, so I guess that's what they picked it for.
Yeah, you're more frontliner than a Sand King. Like, you can just run in and tank it up, I guess. But
I was wondering if they go for Roshan, who's gonna tank for them, but I guess it's gonna be Faith.
Yeah, especially once you hit level 11 with the second point in your ulti and get that increased HP regen. So, yeah, it's possible. You got Darkseer, who's got a mech as well, and I think they could easily take Roshan now. Obviously, you want to maybe bring down a few more towers and get yourself in a slightly more advantageous position, but they've got more than enough damage and the heals from the mech and the urns as well.
Yeah. Ice is actually going to go for the Hannah Midas now. Like,
Oh,
every time I see him
Elder
play
Titan,
this hero, yeah, every time I see him play this hero, he always gets Hannah Midas. Just because he's like, well, all I need is levels early to contribute to fights.
Because even the Echo Stomp can be a very handy spell to have in these fights.
Yeah. I mean, you have to max out your Astral Spirit, you have to max out your Natural Order, you need at least a level of your ultimate, but to land your ultimate, you need at least 3 levels of Echo Stomp, so it's it's not even that farm intensive of a hero, it's just level intensive.
Alright, well, this is stage of the game. Both teams just taking tier 1 towers without much defense now. Although defense will come towards top. Yao's got himself an infested lifesteal and he wants Ice. Tornado EMP will be there. As Yao going to get the Sleight of Fist, doesn't dodge the EMP, but he gets himself completely mana depleted. Will get out of the Earth Splitter as, well, Sylar switches target, finds Super, and Super's got no spells to invoke to. 2-for-0 trade at the top lane. Black's getting low. He's going to Shadow Dance and try and just keep on fighting Sylar. Sylar can maybe try and go for an armlet toggle, but the liquid fire damage over time could prevent this one. Now an Ignite as well goes down. Lifestealer a big kill as Black now going to blink his way onto Yao. Yao, one last Sleight of Fist, not going to save his life here as Darkseer shows up as well. Ice Path goes on through. Buyback actually going to come into play. Ember Spirit still a fire in it. Oh no! FY TP out! Just barely. They'll get Fenrir, but a very messy fight at the top lane here. LGD buy back the Ember Spirit, but I think that's okay. As you said a bit earlier, Ember Spirit not the most farm-intensive hero if you're going to play him as Yao is doing right now.
Yeah, he could have gotten FY2, but he messed up his Sleight of Fist chains combo.
Could have just held on to the Searing Chains, but it's
exactly.
Not the end of the world.
In July, I hate this so much. Everybody just builds Midases. They're like, well, look at the way that this game is going. We're probably going to go late game.
I mean, I got to agree. It's probably going late game, but yeah, it's okay. Look, it's going late game with like no Naga Siren type game. It's not like a Naga Siren late game kind of thing, but I don't know.
Yeah, that was so weird. Both carries actually died there. Black uses Shadow Dance, and just the damage from Darkseer was able to kill him. So I guess that wasn't too bad of a trade. They did lose the Lifestealer there, but the start goes down as well, and the buyback was used on the Ember Spirit, but I guess the trade works out a little bit in LGD's favor overall. Like, they didn't lose any towers or anything like that, and Super went down in the gank very early.
Yeah, I think slightly LGD favor. I mean, Silo's still so farmed. I guess he's he's at the same level as Black as far as their total net worth is concerned, so not much separating the two carries, but even so, it feels like LGD got a little bit more out of that fight.
Yeah.
Who do you favor late game? If we're going late game, like looking at the drafts as a whole, like do you feel like either team really stands out there?
I guess it's easier for Vici Gaming to kite around, and their initiation is a little bit more reliable, but LGD have a lot more damage on their side. With Yao, you know, Sleight of Fist, you pretty much hit everything, especially if you get the vacuum combo off, and Lifestealer always scales pretty decently.
Yeah.
And the wall just makes, the later the game goes, the wall just gets better, like it scales up.
They found FY here. Bit of an illusion block, but FY will be the pick off with the smoke gank. And it's just the one kill. They may look to fall back, and no, they're going to stand and hold their ground. Black actually blinks in with a Shadow Dance here, trying to fight Sylar. I don't know if Sylar's the best target. It is if you can burn all his mana now. Doesn't really have much way to escape out of this one, so they get an Ogre, but lose Sylar in the process. There's a nice vacuum wall combo. Catches out most of Vici Gaming and LGD.
Fenrir! That's so much damage!
This is a farm Jakiro. That's what it was a level 1 Macropie at the start of that fight, but now he's level 11. Tornado will be off the mark, but Black still alive, and he just has so much good chasing potential. Like, you don't kill him or deal with him at the start of the fight, you're not getting out of there when he can blink and pounce after you.
Look at Faith just run away! He's like the fastest man in the world.
Well,
like,
not anymore.
Are they even going to be able to kill him?
292
Black's
moves
definitely from the top.
Yeah, I don't... He's gonna... Yeah, he's not TP.
And that's a 5-man team wipe.
Fenrir MVP of that fight for me.
Yeah, he's playing Jakiro just like you want to, as a counter initiator. He just waited for every spell to go down. Eventually, LGD messed up a little bit. As soon as the wall came down, they just kind of funneled together. Like, that was the worst place for them to fight against a Jakiro. This is like the Jakiro dream spot.
Yeah, I think they just thought, oh, we've got such a good wall location, but then they were like, they grouped up, and it's like, well, they're not going to walk into the wall. They're going to sit back and throw this Ice Path Macropie, which just it did so much damage.
He's got Eels now.
Yeah,
like, he can pretty much solo kill the Skywrath at least.
Oh man. Yeah, level 2 Macropire. Jeez. Lifesteal is just he's using. I mean, he's using his rage early to get that first kill, but then as soon as his rage wears off, Vici Gaming are punishing him. Like that's twice in a row where he's just died pretty early on in a fight.
Yeah, he's actually not altogether that tanky, and Vici have enough counter initiate so that they can just kind of kite around and then wait. And right now, Ice 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 has kind of been the target in like half of these fights because he's like the least tanky hero. But who really cares if your Elder Titan dies? Like, he has 3 deaths in this game, but it doesn't really contribute too much to LGD. Like the core heroes the main hero that you need to kill is Black.
Look at Black, 34, 35 Essence Shift charges.
Boy.
Look at this agility damage. That was from the last team fight as well. So that was like carryover from killing the lifesteal in the last fight, and then he finds him again. And just deals more stats.
He just bought a full Scotty. It's 23 minutes in, and he's got a Scotty and a Blink Dagger and a Hand of Midas.
I think at this point, Black is winning the late game battle against this lifesteal of it. We'll see how else things pan out. Elder Titan gets a kill in July using the Earth Splitter, and Fenrir, maybe the casualty of war for Vici Gaming here. Does not have a way out. We'll throw a Macropire, but he's got no way out. Ice 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 has to be careful as well. Has a TP scroll. Yao needs to hold onto his Searing Chains, perhaps.
Oh boy, MMI, you're so dead.
MMY further up to the north. It's going to be Ember Spirit over in the west, and he goes down. MMY on the Skywrath, and that's another team wipe.
Yeah, they have no answer for Black. Like, that's what we talked about. When he's this farmed in this game, like, how do you lock him down? You have to hope for the Skywrath to get the Ancient Seal off before he gets Dark Pact off. Like, that's not reliable at all.
Well, Lifestealer just... it feels like... I mean, partly just not matching up to Black, but as a hero, maybe need to get involved more earlier on, because right now, Vici Gaming are just cruising.
I mean, he was more involved than Black was early on.
Yeah.
That was the thing, is he came to all of the fights, like all of the major engagements. But Black just kind of hung around a little bit longer, and the supports for Vici are a lot better right now against the Lifestealer than the supports for LGD
Look
are
at Black's damage. He's got 242 base damage right now.
He's gonna find a Skywrath and just 4-shot him.
Oh man, this is just a sight to see. 43 Essence Shift charges. That's a bonus 129 agility. That's like what, 3 Eagle songs or something?
He's got Bloodlust on him as well.
That's just insane. He's just maintaining it as well. Like, he starts losing it and then he just finds another kill and gets like another 10 Essence Shift charges.
He's just sitting on top of that cliff because he knows that they don't have any ward vision.
Yeah.
And so he's just essentially denying them their entire jungle just by sitting there. And again, how are they going to kill him? There's no Blink Dagger on the Alchemist. There's no real initiation. Like, you just send somebody up there and kind of hope that Black has a stroke and messes up all of his keys at once.
Right, yeah. Well, look at it. Meanwhile, mid lane, Faith gonna stun himself, Black gonna go in as well, and that's a straightforward kill for him. He even has the Shadow Dance, so... Yeah. LGD can't even kill him right now.
In front of 4 heroes. Like, what are they gonna do?
Alright. Black, you've done well.
Good job, man.
He's
kind
of
oh my god,
this...
he's just gonna... Oh, did he see him? Oh, I totally thought he was just gonna kill him as well.
You know, Black's got this, like, perfect blend of just, like, mid-game aggression with his amazing early-game farming. Like, he gets this incredible early-game farm and then transitions. Like, Slarkus just seems to be, like, the perfect hero for him in some ways.
Yeah, it feels... Slark, in games like this, it just feels like a pub stomper. It feels like you're playing against a pub where the team isn't coordinated and they don't have any way of dealing with you, so you just run train on them. He's got 3,200 gold. I think at 21 minutes he had like 500 gold on top of his Scotty. And since then, he's just been farming heroes and he's got another 3k.
Well, I don't feel like LG have a good answer for him. They can sit back and turtle. Darks are a good high ground defender, especially, but they still have their work cut out for them as far as LGD are concerned. Sylar probably going to have to go for like an Abyssal Blade just to maybe try and be able to fight the Slark as his next item, but he's still pretty squishy, especially if he goes for something like an Abyssal Blade.
Yeah, he's definitely not getting an Abyssal Blade anytime soon.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you can go late game, but Ya would have to have a Battle Fury already at this point.
Yeah, this is where your Ember Spirit dying a few times, buying back is going to maybe hurt you a bit. Makes it a lot harder to defend the high ground as well when he doesn't have a Battle Fury. See how things progress here. We did a fantasy draft early today where you're trying to get the worst score, and I think Yao was maybe a value pick, because he is not doing all too well here.
It's just, I see him get a little bit too aggressive sometimes. Oh, and mid, fake.
Yikes. He had the blink in, but yeah, didn't get the stun off. And now Sylar gets multicasted behind his tower. He's already half HP before this fight even begins.
I honestly feel like a lot of this game, well, the game's not over, but as a Zephyr player, I'm too familiar with the situation that LGD is in. You can't really do anything, you can't kill their carry, you're pretty much just sitting back and relying on something miraculous to happen.
Yep. Right now, the miraculous thing was just Black and how well he's doing. He finds MMY. MMY will be easy pickings for him as... no, I don't know what else LG can do.
Yeah, he's pretty much just running around. Like, he's so unafraid of everything.
I think with good reasons. Maybe when the Shadow Dance is on cooldown, he has to be a little bit more careful, but he's got such good backup. The Quaswex Invoker offers such good support with Tornado as well as Deafening Blast to support you. You've got Ice Path as well. So much good defensive abilities. They're going to go in with a wall here, but that does not really land on much. Sylar does get the Rage up before Ice Path lands, but the kiting begins. 4 staffs are coming out. FY still being chased down, and well, he's still alive. Can there be a turnaround? The Deafening Blast hits!
Oh, they're not even going to kill him.
Oh no, and Sylar going to pay the piper here per chance as Black shows up and gets the kill. FY, he was like no HP, pops the Soaring just to give himself the money. He will end up going down to MMY, but it's actually an okay fight for LGD. They get a 2 for 2 right now, but Black's still alive. End of the day, there's no beating this Slark, and Slark will find one last kill as GG's called, and Vici Gaming take game 1. I mean, this was the Black show.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of saw it from the draft though. Like, we knew what were they going to do against the Slark. Like, they actually had no answer. I would have loved to see a different support combo. I mean, especially if you're going to pick the Alchemist, I feel like they should have just gone aggressive around the map earlier and just try to pressure Super and Ice more.
Yeah.
But they didn't really have heroes that could take towers reliably either. Like, it just felt like their lineup was kind of... it didn't mesh very well at all.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they definitely went for something a bit different with some of these picks. Like, the Darkseer, Lifestealer, Alchemist, all these kind of lesser seen picks, but doesn't work out for them too well, unfortunately. So we'll see what happens in game 2. I imagine Vici Gaming are going to stick to the plan. Don't give them Lycan, which is what they've been first picking in all their matches, and force them to play outside of their comfort zone, perhaps. And I don't know. Sylar and Lifestealer was okay, but I feel like he needs to go back to maybe his more bread and butter carry heroes. His Morphling, his Anti-Mage. I guess Anti-Mage is something you can't really plan on picking from the start of the draft, but I don't know what else LG could... definitely with this draft, there wasn't much more LG could do.
Yeah, it looked like they were comfortable going late game, but then they were like, oh shit, we're against a Slark. Like, what are we supposed to do? Like, how do we exactly get to the late game? Like, I felt so bad for MMY there. Like, he'd hide behind tier 3 towers in fights, and Black would just hunt him down. He's like, well, either I'm not going to be in the fight at all, or I'm going to die immediately.
Alrighty, well, we'll have game 2 coming up soon, guys. I'm Gods. Joining me is Blitz from Team Zephyr, and we've got LGD versus Vici Gaming winner bracket finals of the Summit 2 China playoffs coming your way. Stick around. Game 2 coming up next.